and they share lesson plans all through here. So if I'm a recruiter and I want to know what you're doing, and I look up, your name, I Google you, I find interesting stuff, I'm going to be more apt to hire you. There was a guy who approached us, a month or so ago. He's hosting an education technology conference in Mexico, wanted us to help support him. And I Googled him, and I didn't find anything. And I thought, I'm not going to help, not that I won't help him, but I'm not really interested in participating because he's obviously not that involved in educational technology. He has no social media preference. So people are sort of discarded as candidates really quickly if you don't have a strong presence. This is also a great way, you may not think about it now, but for somebody who went to college 20 years ago, you might think about remembering your professors, people who have really been important to you, because when you need a recommendation for grad school and you're not quite sure where they are, how to get in touch with them, you can save all of their contact information in LinkedIn. Professors, if you already connect with them, they might be able to give you recommendations. You don't have perhaps work experience yet, but they can say, this person's great in classroom management. I'll show you that part. There's a part at the bottom where you list what your particular skills are that you feel that you're good at, and then people can give you endorsements. So your connections, let's see, where's it? It's way down. There we go. Well, I'm looking for this. Do anybody have questions, thoughts?
The setup in this, the feel for is very much like Facebook. Are the two companies?
They're not.
LinkedIn?
No, they're not.
Because even the type of icons for the upload and posting and stuff like that looks so much.
They're not. No, Facebook is. I was going to say it's strictly sort of more social, but that's not true. A lot of teachers have Facebook accounts for their businesses, for their jobs, things like that as well. So, but LinkedIn is the #1 social media site for jobs. But yeah, you get a lot of the same feel. I guess. These are all people that I connect with and things that they're publishing. So it's also a way just to get content information. This, when you get stuff like this, articles that come to you on your LinkedIn, this is called pull technology. So instead of me going out and doing a search, I'm following certain people, certain organizations. For example, Monica posts every day, every couple days in an ed tech group, 21st Century Classroom. She evaluates apps all the time for Apple and Google, and then she'll post what are the most useful apps, how they're using it, all that. So you just kind of begin to become familiar with the groups and the people, and then you get the information to your LinkedIn page or to your inbox or whatever. So that's why it's pull technology. It comes to you as opposed to you having to go out and get it. And I'm trying to find where my list is. And it's also interesting because sometimes you'll get people looking at your profile and like, oh, I didn't realize that person was interested in my profile, and they might be looking at you for jobs you hadn't thought of. Okay, here are the skills and endorsements. So when you're setting up your LinkedIn, think about buzzwords that are important, that people, because a lot of searches now aren't just paper searches, they plug your name into a database with words they're looking for. And so whatever your area is, if it's math or science or foreign language, whatever it is, think about what are the top trends in that particular area of education right now and use those as your skill set. And then what happens are, for example, staff development is one that I listed as a skill. And then anybody who knows me, who's a connection of mine and believes that I have that skill, they can endorse me. So when you have 40 or 50 or 30 or whatever people saying, yes, I know this person has staff development, then as a recruiter, I look at that and I pop up, there's a lot of stuff to back it up. You could also ask professors who you're really close to put a recommendation here, as opposed to just a written one on a piece of paper, because that way when recruiters are looking to, they can say, okay, this university professor believes that this person has this skill, even though they don't have a lot of experience yet. And this works like a lot of just easy word processing. When you want to edit, you can just come back and click on the pencil and you can edit it. So that's kind of just a general overview. I would also recommend that if you have a chance to present at conferences and stuff, begin to do that and begin to collect evidence, because what I'm finding is for the Apple English Educators, Flat Classroom, Google, everything I've applied for in the past 3 years has required me to submit a video, an edited video. And I hadn't done that before. It was something that I hadn't been asked to do before, but every single thing I've applied for, everything, has been asked for a video of me showing evidence of what I say I'm going to do. Okay. So if I say I integrate technology in the classroom, or I am transforming my community using technology, I have to know how to make and create a video and document that. And so I've done a bunch, every application for Apple is like that. If you want to get into the ADE program, if you want to get into Google Certified Teacher, the Star Discovery, all of those are video applications. And as I said, I was accepted in 2013. Well, I'll be really honest, when I got hired for this job, my boss was like, hey, we want you to be Google Certified, Apple Certified, Flat Classroom Certified this year, can you do it? And I was like, oh sure, whatever. I figured it was just taking classes and writing papers, and I had no idea. And I'm a tech savvy person who has liked tech my whole life. My husband works in tech, and it was a huge learning curve for me. So I would highly, highly recommend that you guys, if you don't know how to edit videos, learn. Collect really good evidence of yourself, professional photographs, professional style videos, ask a friend, just begin to collect that stuff so that you have an online portfolio that shows you as a really professional person. And as you begin to be interested in these areas, so you're able to apply for this stuff, because there are a lot of benefits. But yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. And Carlos can tell you, the first time I had to make a 2-minute video of myself with video clips and pictures, I didn't even have the evidence. So I had to begin by just thinking about what I want to show, what I want to showcase, what types of pictures, even, I don't want to wear the same outfit every time I present because I want to make them know that it was somewhere different, or applying to present at local conferences and stuff because, well, this year, actually, the Apple Distinguished Educator Program is every 2 years, and it's a worldwide competition. And this year, as a member, I got to judge the videos. And what I learned is they did not even look at the written essays until after round 1. Round 1 was all about just editing out and the video. You had 2 minutes to convince them that you were transforming education using technology. And if you didn't do it in your video, you didn't even make it to round 2. So I think that's really the way that it's going. And I don't know about your particular local area, but I know on an international level, that's where it's going. That's how people are being interviewed, Skype interviews, Google Hangouts, that kind of stuff. So I think more than anything, I just wanted to share a little bit of what I've lived and seen to kind of hopefully inspire you guys to set up a LinkedIn, to start tweeting, and I think it sounds a little bit overwhelming. People are like, I don't have time, I'm barely going to know how to set up my classroom at the beginning. But what worked for me when I came back and it was overwhelming is I set aside 15 minutes a day. And I gave myself 15 minutes to read articles, 15 minutes to tweet, 15 minutes to use Pinterest. Does anybody use that? I mean, that's amazing for setting up a classroom and lesson plans and all that stuff. So I started with 15 minutes and I began taking, if you're interested in using Google Apps for Education, there's an online training center just for teachers, and there are 6 courses. They cost $15 a course. And if you get all of those, you can become an individually certified Google teacher. And if you get that, and then you make a video and you show, demonstrate what you know, you can become a Google certified trainer. And that you can do on your own, as long as you can demonstrate how to do it. And the trainers are hired to train all over the world, and they pay like $50 an hour. So that's a good way to supplement income as a teacher as well, doing things in the summer. Apple also, once you get into the ADE program, if they hire you, or if they ask you to apply for the Apple Professional Development Program, they'll train you, and then they'll hire people like on summer vacation and after school and stuff to train at other schools, and that pays like $7,500 an hour too. So these are ways that as teachers we can supplement our income, we can learn, we can collaborate on a global level. And I know you guys are probably overwhelmed just thinking about the job. Yeah.
I want to say that in 15 minutes isn't a lot of time that she's asking for to create a LinkedIn and get all that stuff, because whenever you guys go out and officially start putting out your applications and stuff, I don't know if you have or not, one online application can take upwards of an hour to do. And you have to upload your resume, your cover letter, and all that stuff. And so when you have that LinkedIn, you already have a lot of that stuff done to where you can almost just copy and paste it into that online application. So those online applications will take longer than the 15 minutes she's asking. So keep that in mind as well.
And I just think because a lot of teachers even hear like, that's too much. I already do too much. The school's asking too much. I don't have time for anything else. But if you keep it small, and you can just begin to see it, and you begin to realize, like the one I showed you, Monica. I know Monica posts really great stuff, and she's very smart, and her stuff is useful. So I read her stuff because I know it's going to help me. And you begin to weed out stuff that's useful and stuff that's not. But I think it could give you a really competitive advantage if you begin to do this. And that's just kind of where Wisdom Swimming is from Mexico. 20 years, but I was really shocked when I came back after just a 6-year hiatus how differently things were. Nobody had ever asked me to apply for anything with a self-created video. And then, you get on the message boards and some people are like, oh, well, make sure you don't use the template and, in the movie programs because those are used all the time, so make up your own and try to get original music. And I'm like, I don't write original music, so, but you can. I mean, honestly, I have little kids, 6 and 3, and they help me write like original music on GarageBand, and you can use that for your background. And then you can say, hey, I do digital music with my kids, So there's a lot of stuff you can do and probably already do, but start documenting it. And
I think that would be the great advantage to starting it because then you see what you need, so that when you're out there, you can start to document that stuff. Whereas you have no clue where to start if you don't go to that and see, I need a video of this. We were just actually talking about this earlier this morning. What video editing software do you find useful for new people trying to do that? Because I know some of those things can be a black hole of time.
We honestly here use everything Apple, the iLife stuff, so iMovie with GarageBand, and I find that to be very user-friendly. And you can use it now. It's free now on iPad and any Mac products. So again, I mean, I'm a mom, I have little kids. My kids can make movies on with GarageBand and with iMovie for the music and stuff. So just also so you know, we start this with our students in 4th grade, talking about their digital footprint, what they're leaving behind, what people are going to find when they Google them. There's a statistic, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it says for the year 2030, 50% of today's jobs won't exist. And the 50% of jobs that will exist, we don't know what they are yet. And so we are preparing kids for jobs that we don't know what they are. And in my case, I mean, that's really, for me, it was really an eye-opener. At the same time I took this job, my husband, who has been in marketing for 20 years, was called and they said, hey, we have a job for you, why don't you come check it out? Head of listening. Neither of us knew what that was. So we Googled it. It's a job that I think it came on the radar in like 2010, 2012. Basically, he sits in a giant, for me it would have been like what you see at NASA with all the screens, everywhere in the 80s, 90s. And they monitor the feeds on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, like all social media sites for all the brands of Coca-Cola. All day long, there are teams of people doing that. And so they have this sophisticated software, and every time Coca-Cola or any of their brands are mentioned, it pops up, they consolidate all that information, and they make live recommendations to the legal department, to the advertising department. So what in marketing would have taken maybe 6 months or a year to come up with a campaign, now they're doing it and flipping it around during a soccer game. During the World Cup last year, there was a Mexican goalie who was doing really well one day, and everybody was tweeting about that. So people were trying to get in on the Twitter feed. And so they tweeted an image of the Coke can with like the guy's signature was an afro. So the Coke can with an afro, and we're all with you today, Ochoa, whatever. They had thousands, tens of thousands of hits that day, which was more than they would have had if they would have paid for advertising. So we're teaching kids to work in jobs like this that are different. We need them to be risk takers, and as teachers we have to model that. And so I know it's overwhelming, it's scary. My first year back, I honestly felt like I had like the tip of my nose above water. And so that's just kind of my advice. Take it or leave it. But from what I've seen in the past 3 years coming back, and I think it can be helpful. So anybody have any questions, ideas? Yeah?
I know you said like jobs like can search or like when you have the premium and stuff. Is there a way that you can search like openings?
Yes, absolutely.
Specific?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can search them, like today I just plugged in just to kind of see what came up. I changed it that I was actively searching for something in Mexico City, even though I'm not. And that can be clandestine too. So you can look for jobs and not have it like sent out to all your followers. And when I did